Hey guys, it's me, Mario, and today we're going to continue Amictus, the Bug Queen. How are all doing today? I know it's a bit late. I had some important stuff to do today. I call uncle in every big family. Well, I hope you guys will enjoy Chapter 5, The Hidden Beast, The Hidden Fury. Sorry. From Amictus, the Bug Queen. Here we go. Well, Mel's laughter faded. Tom consulted the map again, and saw that the path towards the beast led eastwards. He climbed into Storm's saddle, and Elena settled in behind him. Silver gave a bark of excitement, and they plunged onwards through the jungle. Storm stepped carefully to avoid large tree roots and hanging vines and branches. As they traveled, Tom trained the telescope on a pond. He saw a fish hiding from a predator. Lowering the telescope, he watched the camouflaged fish disappear against some pebbles. It had only been visible thanks to his charmed telescope. Further along the path, he spotted a chameleon as it rested on a vibrant orange plant, its tongue flicking in and out. When he took the telescope away from his face, the creature vanished. "This is amazing," Tom gasped. "The jungle is alive with hidden creatures." "Let me see," Elena asked. Tom passed the telescope over his shoulder, holding Storm's reins loosely. He smiled to himself as he listened to his friends' cries of delight until, "Tom, stop!" she called suddenly. Look at that!" He pulled sharply on Storm's reins and saw what Elena had spotted. An endless row of lilac-colored eggs along the forest floor. Storm's front hooves were no more than a hand's width from the first egg. Sliding from the saddle, Tom crept over to peer at them more closely. And here are the clutch of eggs that Storm almost stepped on. Their shells shone with an eerie glow, lighting up the plants that pressed around them. "They're beautiful," Elena cried, kneeling beside an egg. She placed the telescope on the jungle floor and carefully wiped her hands on her tunic. She lifted one egg into the air. Tom reached out a hand to feel the smooth surface of another. He hesitated. Somehow it felt wrong to touch these eggs. "Put it down," he told Elena. Snap. The sound came from behind them. Tom dared not look at Elena. lest a sudden movement be fatal. What was that? She whispered. There came a second noise, this time a rustle. Then a crack and a groan of branches. Groan as branches bent and twigs snapped. Tom couldn't see anything. He could stay still no longer. He quickly leaped to his feet, swiveling around to grab the telescope from the carpet of leaves. He lifted it to his face, scanning the jungle as an emerald green leg hovered into view. Barbed with fierce spikes, lifting the telescope higher, Tom saw two huge claws and a pair of glossy eyes that pierced his heart. He had found the last beast of Grilder. Amictus, he breathed. The beast stood in front of a green tree with long pods suspended from the upper branches. The perfect disguise for a giant green insect. Without the telescope, Tom could never have spotted his enemy. Amictus sent a claw shooting out and it sliced the air in front of Tom's face as he lunged out of range. Pushing Elena behind him, he felt a warm trickle down his neck, and his ear burned with pain. The beast had drawn blood. Anger coursed through him. I won't be defeated so soon. Amictus lunged again, and Tom's telescopes clattered to the ground. He scrambled to grasp his sword hilt. Fortunately, now that Amictus was on the move, it was easy to spot her. Tom brought the sword from its sheath with a hissing sound. Here is Amictus, stealthily behind Tom and Elena, and Tom noticing where she was and turned around and such. And here's Elena with one of her eggs in her hands. He trained its point on the beast's breastbone, where Tom judged his enemy's heart to be. If Amictus has a heart, Elena stood beside him with an arrow already on her bow, ready to do whatever was needed. Amictus's eyes narrowed with anger. A barbed leg shot out, thudding into Tom's ribs, causing him to stagger dangerously close to the row of lilac eggs. Another row of fury filled the forest. Suddenly it all became clear. Tom grabbed Elena and dragged her behind a huge tree where Amictus couldn't reach. Amictus laid those eggs, Tom told her. She's their mother. Elena's face paled as she dared to look at the approaching beast, who was marauding through the jungle, ripping up trees and vegetation with awesome power. What are we going to do? She asked. She's furious. Tom heard Storm neigh. He looked across the jungle and saw his brave stallion galloping towards him, swerving to avoid Amictus's leg as she kicked at his flanks. Good boy, he told his horse as Storm came to a halt. Tom plunged his hand into the saddlebag. Glancing nervously over at the beast, Amictus watched Storm, her nostrils flaring as if she was smelling the stallion's scent, sizing him up. Tom won't have to be... Excuse me while I take a sip of my drink. Gotta stay hydrated. To read. Whew. I gotta remember to take a breather when I'm reading. I'm going so fast. All right. Let's continue. Page 78. Tom would have to be quick. He drew out the sack of prizes, looking through them. His thoughts tumbled over each other as he decided which prize could help him defeat Amictus. "That's it!" Tom cried, his fingers closing around the golden ring. He slipped it onto one of his fingers and held out a hand. Excuse me. He watched as the tips of his fingers turned hazy and then disappeared altogether. The invisibility traveled up his forearm to his elbow, and Tom felt a thrill of excitement as he looked down to see that his body had disappeared. As long as he stayed still, he was invisible. Now he knew that Elena and Storm could no longer see him, but they could still hear his voice. "Stay here, Storm," Tom began. "Elena, I'm going out there. When I stop moving and Amictus sees me disappearing, she'll hesitate. That's your chance." "I'll be ready," Elena whispered, her eyes wide. Tom stepped out from their hiding place. Quickly, he grabbed the telescope from the forest floor before freezing to the spot. Amictus swung her huge head around and spotted him, giving a low hiss of triumph. The beast leaped through the undergrowth, huge limbs climbing over trees and bushes. But as Tom stood still, he knew he was disappearing. Amictus suddenly hesitated and swerved and swiveled, glancing anxiously around the jungle floor. "She can't see me," Tom thought. It was time to defeat the final beast. Here is Amictus, searching for Tom, who has disappeared right in front of her. Add. And that was chapter 5. Hidden Fury. Well, that was exciting. Hope Amictus gets freed in the next few chapters. the next 4 chapters. Who am I kidding? She will. I read this book before. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Of how she gets freed and such. It's all about the journey. It's all about the journey, not the destination. In books like these. Well, in any book, really. It's all about the journey your brain takes you when you read or listen to someone read. Am I making any sense? It's 6 o'clock at night. So... Well, I hope you guys like my reading of chapter 5 of Amictus, the Bug Queen. And I also hope you like, subscribe, hit the bell, and hope I will see you in the next video. Right. See ya.